everyone. My name is Pam Ford, and this is
Sherry Williams.
and we are with Speak Up and Vote, and we are out here at the Joliet Junior College doing voter registration. Non-political voter registration, okay? Not people voting, but not trying to get people registered. And we are happy to announce how many people registered to vote today?
We got 20.
20 students registered to vote today. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? We are so excited about that because we know that this election has a lot to do with college students. They are on the ballot just as much as the politicians are on the ballot. So we thought not only would we have a voter registration, we were invited from the college, and here's Amy. Amy, would you like to come up here for a second, please? Amy invited us out here, and today is Constitution Day. So would you like to share quickly a little bit about what Constitution Day means?
So Constitution Day is something that's celebrated by institutions of higher education to encourage our students to be engaged in civic responsibilities. And so I was looking for an organization to come out and help us with voter registration, a reputable group that would help our students get registered and educate them about the upcoming election and why it's important that we get out and vote. And I know that we have a great partnership because our young folks need to come out and vote and be engaged in that conversation. So how do we fill that gap and support each other's on our journey? So thank you for coming out again.
And thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So with that being said, let's go around and let's introduce the people that we have in the room, the students. Hey, college students!
Hey.
So let's start here. State your name and what organization you represent.
So my name is Aisha Ellis, and I'm the co-leader of the Black Student Union.
Thank you for coming, Aisha.
I'm Jessica. Wow. This is her first year, freshman. Came up to get her financial aid together and her classes. So I went to college over 30 years ago. I'm retired. I don't work anymore. I take that back. I'm a caretaker for my mom. That's what I do now. But other than that, I kind of, guide her and try to keep her on the right track, the right direction. And I just came up here today to make sure that everything is going to go smooth when she starts school on Tuesday.
Wonderful.
So she is a registered voter. Everybody in my house is a registered voter. When people come in my house, I ask them, are you registered? My grandson, my granddaughter, their friends. And when we go vote, we go in a group.
Yes. Okay.
My name is Jessica. It's my first year of college. I start on Tuesday, and I'm just like to be in more participating in our last stuff in college this year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
My name is Ashley Klinger. I'm a student worker for the Sustainability Union.
Okay, you're up.
My name is Juan Zavala. I represent Disability Awareness Club and Latinos Unidos and OSA, where Amy's a part of. So I like to say I represent all the clubs because she calls me the mayor.
All right. Thank you so much. But thank you all for those introductions. So let's just get right into this thing. You know, first of all, you know, on the news, there's been a big influx of college students, you know, entering college. A big influx of college students having to leave college because they didn't have, you know, the financial aid to sustain them while they were in school. So what I want to know is that with this being so important, an important election for you all, let's talk about the $10,000 first of all. That is going to be, what's the term? Is going to be forgiven. So I know that I am a college graduate and I've been out of college over 20 years and I'm still paying on my graduate degree loan. Okay, still paying on it. And so I have about 3 more years and it'll be completely forgiven. So I'm grateful for that, but it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
okay? A long time coming. So I just wanna ask you all, first of all, that's one of the first things, is, what do you think about, President Biden, waiving the, forgiving the $10,000 if you qualify, then the 20, if you qualify? What do you think of that? So who wants to go? Go right ahead.
Actually, I feel like it's a pretty good thing, very encouraging. I know where I come from. Even as it pertains to me, I often heard that a lot of people didn't want to go to college when it was around that time because they were afraid of student loans. So it discouraged a lot of people. And I was also in fear of having to deal with the same thing. So having that now, I know that, if I work hard, I do what I'm supposed to do in school, I can attain whatever I want. So I think it's a good thing.
Wonderful. Anyone else want to respond? Go right ahead.
Um,
Speak up a little bit louder too.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I think it's great that they're doing the debt forgiveness, and it's so important. And like you said, so many students are discouraged just because of the debt. And I've heard so many people say that college isn't even worth it because of all the debt. And yeah, I think that's a shame. So I hope that we can, work towards free education maybe one day. I'd love to see it. But yeah, I think a lot of us coming to junior college too, we came here because of the money, because it's so much cheaper here. And sometimes I feel like, I don't know, people look down when you go to community college, and which is a shame because JJC is a wonderful school.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, but I hope that people can be encouraged then to go to more four-year universities if that's what they want to do, and they don't have to be afraid about all the debt that could happen.
Absolutely. Thank you.
For me, retaining the debt thing, I think that President Biden's doing is a great thing. As they said, it helped discourage people thinking, oh, I'm not going to college because I have to pay all this money and stuff like that. But any college you go to, especially to junior college, it's a benefit to you because me personally, I've been told when I was younger, I was never going to college, and look at me now.
Amen. Amen.
So it doesn't matter if it's a junior college or any college, because if you go to four-year college, they're still going to teach you the same things as a two-year college. So it's just a cheaper way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that's correct. I attended Joliet Junior College for 2 years. And my second year, I went to Columbia and JUCO at the same time, simultaneously, because my parents couldn't afford to just send me to Columbia. It was too high. I mean, the cost is exacerbated since then, But the thing is, I did it. I went here for the 2 full years, and then I transferred. So that was money saved. And even though it was still expensive for those for those 2 years, at Columbia, the thing is, I saved so much by going to a junior college. And even with JJC, they have so much more to offer now than they did 30 years ago.
Yes.
And I look at the diversity that we see today that we didn't see 30 years ago. We were introduced to the college because we were in high school and our parents said you had no other choice, because how you get out early. Well, we couldn't get out early unless we was either going to work or going to school. And fortunately, we had to do both. We had a part-time job and we were going to school. So this was credit for us. So that was important. Sharon, what would you like to add?
Just the fact that it is so expensive sometimes to go to college. And I think that it could be a lot less expensive. As you know, Pam, with AFSCME, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, which Pam's union.
Yes.
I'm a retiree. It used to be my union.
Mm-hmm.
But they offer free college. So it can be done and it should be done.
That's right. Absolutely.
Could I add something?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I know that in some states, like Tennessee, they give free community college to their residents. And my dad always says that to me, and I'm like, I'm going to Joliet Junior College. Stop telling me that. But I think it's amazing that a lot of states do offer community college for free. I wish it was like that in Illinois too.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Well, that brings us to our next point, that one of the biggest reasons that we decided to have this discussion is it's election time. And the politicians make or break the decisions made pretty much everywhere. So I know even as, when I walked up and I was asking some of the students, are you registered to vote? And this young man said, no, I'm a immigrant and I can't vote. I said, but you're in college. I said, so even though you may not be able to, would you like to help others that can, push and promote the importance of voting? Because somebody got you here. Somebody got you here. So when we think about the politicians, and we know our own personal opinions, but we want to hear from you all. What would you like politicians to know from you all about the importance of not just college, but everything else? Reproductive rights, prison reform, you name it, it's on the ballot. So jobs, what would you like the local politicians, like Sherry would always say, all politics are
Local.
All politics are local. It starts here, right in our communities. So I want to go around, and for those of you that want to share, if you had the politician sitting right here today, and you all are smart, because a lot of times you see through stuff, I know we did, we were in school, what would you want them to know in order to get your vote? So any of those topics that I just mentioned, what would you like them to know if they were sitting here? Because those are the ones that's making the decisions. You want to start?
Yeah, I can start. I really think that people who are imprisoned right now for things that have been legalized should be released. Because it's not just anymore, like they're stuck and sometimes for many years and can't do anything. It's kind of a shame considering what's been happening. But I would love to talk about free community college, or a program we had here was JJC Eats. It's the last day for JJC Eats, but I think that especially in a junior college setting, having a free lunch program is so important, because you can't, a lot of kids, this is where they get their food, and the JJC Eats program helps save money too that they can put it towards other things.
And the JJC Eats, to add on that, it helps to students that don't have money to spend all the time, and many people don't want to disclose that, which is fine, and stuff like that. And I feel like we should have a little bit of money that's free for at least a hot lunch, not for everything, but at least for a little bit of money for those type of students that don't want to spend money. And, yeah.
They don't have it, but not to spend, because they have to spend on other things.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
absolutely.
Anyone else?
For me, I think if I was able to talk to a politician, I would just let them know, we matter. Us as students, us as individuals, we matter. And if you want our votes, show us that we matter.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, let me follow up on that a little bit. So if you don't vote, which I'm sure that doesn't pertain to you, but if you don't vote, and a lot of young people don't. So if you don't vote, then you don't get the attention of those politicians. How would you make sure that you get their attention? Because voting is one way to do that. It really is. That if enough people don't vote for them and they can't win elections or barely win elections, and they realize that that's something that needs to happen, then they're only going to listen if you make them listen. So voting can be the tool to do that. So I'm hoping that you guys can, spread that word too, because I think a lot of times young people do just say, forget about it. It doesn't make any difference anyway. So, and you being so new with Prescott High School, what do you think about voting?
I think a lot of people that do need to vote, especially kids that are my age, that are really trying to maybe the first got out of high school. I've got high school for almost 2 years now. So when I officially turned 18, I couldn't register until that next year because my birthday's so late. But by the way, it's a whole lot of stuff going on where I seen way before, probably I was in 8th grade, that Trump was already elected for being the president.
everybody already know, including in my own middle school, it was gonna go downhill by the way he was going through. Especially when I seen a lot when it came with the Black Lives Matter movement, where people keep constantly getting shot over and over and over again, and he's not even doing nothing when it comes to police reforms. And I was just like, okay, I wanted to do something like that, but like now, if I do something like that, everybody gonna basically turn away or turn against me because I picked a side, apparently there's a side for everything. So when everybody wants to at least try to be their own career and stuff like that, because I did law in high school. I did law for 2 years. And by everything that went downhill, I took papers that came with the George Floyd case, the Ronnie Reed case. I literally took every single case and looked down papers. I passed that class and I was completely done. Because they seen, okay, I have a passion for law, I have a passion when it comes to my own kind, my own color, because as a way I have experienced that. For school, by people that will falsely accuse you for something, everybody in our color has experienced that. Every other color of the rainbow, they see we have experienced that. So when people are saying, oh, we're not going to suspend them, or police are not going to make them have consequences on that, that hurts people. So I'm like, okay, if you want everybody to vote, then you gotta fix that when it comes with the police. You gotta fix that with everybody else, and everybody has to have equal rights, because right now, we don't have that. And everything's going backwards like where it was back in the day, like way back in the day. It's trying to go back to that. And people like kids in the future, we don't need that. We want stuff to be the same, we want stuff to change for at least a little bit, for us to have equal rights and have stuff that everybody can be cool with one another.
Thank you. And, and the next thing is, just from the experience this morning with our group just doing the voter registration. First of all, kudos to 20 people that registered to vote. Kudos. Now, think about even in a junior college setting, and most of the people that attend junior colleges they're attending because they don't want to incur that large amount of money that it would take to go to a 4-year school. They don't want to be in debt, because that's what everybody's talking about, being and staying in debt. Nobody wants that. We don't want to see you all graduate from college, you got a $40,000 loan, and you got a job where you're making $18,000 a year. It doesn't make sense. It didn't then, it doesn't now. But let's talk about the students, your peers. What is it about them? Like, I know you said you were over the Black Student Union, and they should be flooded in here. You know, it should be a slew of them. It should be a slew of people from your organization. And sometimes I think that we can just sort of get lackadaisical. You know, and Sherry talks about this a lot, where they don't want to come, but they're going to ask you 1,001 questions about what transpired while you were here. Am I right? They want to know that. So what will it take to get those people that you know that need to get engaged in the process engaged? What do you think it's going to take?
How do we do it?
Yeah, how do we do it? Because that's what we've been fighting for 4 years. You know, we've been out in the community, we've been, you know, you name it. We've done over 35 voter registrations in the last couple of years. So we were out there even during COVID. We had our masks, we had our, we had the mask, we had the sanitizer, you name it, we had it. You know, we had people staying 6 feet away, but we were out there registering people to vote because that's how important it was. And is now. And this is what's so ironic. Your mom's age group, they're gonna vote, no matter what. Why? Because she got a pension, and her pension is important to her. Like my mother tells me, it doesn't matter. We vote because we look at our money. We want to make sure that the money that we work for is going to work for us. So seniors understand taxes, they understand pension. But when it comes to the younger population, what is it going to take? What is it going to take for you all, in your opinion? I know you can't speak on behalf of the other students, but what do you think is going to take? Just, let's say, like for this college. You know, you probably got over 1,000 students in the college here. And just with today being 20 people, you know, which is awesome, but what do you think is going to take to get those other folks involved? Yes.
I think personally, from what I've seen, it's gonna actually take us seeing the change, because a lot of people just lost hope. Like, you know, people say stuff all the time. We get broken promises all the time. People tell us stuff all the time, but until we actually see it, then it's like nothing's gonna change in a lot of people's eyes. And a lot of people, they don't want to fight for that change. They just want to see it. Unfortunately, they don't want to do the work for it. They just want to see it.
That, I was waiting on Sharon to answer, to answer
Well,
that
And
one.
then sustainability, that's what it's all about, people don't see it going on right now, so they
just
don't
think
pay
it's
attention. I've had people tell me that they don't care if they cut all the trees down, and stuff like that,
Oh,
seriously, at one of our events, they told me they didn't care if we cut all the trees down. And stuff like that, that makes me sad, but it's because they don't see the immediate consequences or what's going to be happening in the future. But, I do have an idea.
Sure.
I think it would be good to get people in here closer to election time. So that way we can inform students who's on the ballot, when it is, where to vote. I think that closer to election time would be good, because especially like midterm elections or for governor or other state representatives, people don't really realize when that's happening. Like, I know it, I don't remember what month it happened this year. I don't, what month was it this year for
For the primary?
Yeah.
It was June.
It was
Yeah.
later.
And it was late because of, you know,
Right.
COVID and everything else.
Right, yeah, when I went to my, local, voting center in June, there were no young people there. There were none.
That was young, was having my cousin there.
Wow.
Yeah, mine was zero, mine was a bunch of old white guys, and I was just, I live in Grundy County,
Mhm.
so it's hard to get a voice there, you know, and I wish there were more people like from my high school, all these people who are passionate about social justice and the climate crisis and what we could do. I wish they were more in it, because then bills like CEJA and the Green New Deal, we need to push those, because this stuff is urgent, and people don't realize it because they're not seeing it happening right this second, even though it is happening this second.
So let me ask you a question then. So do you think that if the people, candidates and, you know, the people that are running for reelection, do you think if they came, that people would listen?
I think that could be interesting, but we can't have any politics.
I'm gonna say yes and no.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it too for our sustainability union, having people come in and educate
Mhm.
voters, and we were talking about having two sides, you know,
There you go.
having our Republican candidate
Sure.
and having a
Right.
Democratic candidate that can talk about, you know, what they're focusing on for
Exactly.
each group. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that happen. We probably gotta get that more in the works, but I think closer to election time would be really good.
And this is the thing, I just always believe that you have to be the change you wanna see,
Yes.
period.
Ma'am.
And if we were waiting on the change, we wouldn't be doing this type of work.
Yeah.
I can't expect anyone to do more than I do on a subject that's important to me, period. And so, criminal justice is important to me. So guess what? My organization got the bill changed for people to be able to vote in the jail in our community. Why? It wasn't because we sat and waited and was waiting on the change. You had to be the change. We got legislation passed, cause that's important. So those same folks can now come out and they can enroll in college if they wanted to in the junior college. So we started with an ask, a why. Why is this important? And that's where you all have to start with your organization, asking people, are you in it just to be in it? Like a lot of people are, I don't care, just not in college, but even in the workforce. Or are you in it to try to see changes come about? Because if not, you're just wasting space. You know, like you said, I can tell you're passionate. I can tell that you're passionate, and we definitely see your passion. You know, so you just have to take those three impassioned people and say, what can we do that's small? I think so many people look at things as big stuff,
Yes.
and you know what? It's like we have to start small. What can we do as three groups to start something? What can we do right here in our own backyard? What can we do? You know,
And
go ahead.
Pam is, as I mentioned earlier, we belong to AFSCME, our union, and that actually ignited a lot of stuff for me, because, that was my money. We had to go to the table to negotiate our raises. So, you know, when you can sit at the table and actually make demands, it makes a difference. So how would I be able to convince younger people that coach school here, that they also could be involved in something like that? That this politics, as we see it, and I know politics is a really, really bad name, well deserved in some cases, but that's all we got. So we gotta work with what we have. And so if people get discouraged, and I understand the discouragement, but how do we encourage? How can we, we're Speak Up and Vote. So we were here today, we registered 20 people, we're really, really happy about that. This is 20 people, hopefully at least half of them will go out and vote. I'm hoping all of them,
Right.
but realistically, you know, people don't vote. Even though it's been made very easy with mail-in.
And
voting.
also, when people don't vote, they don't realize that when they don't vote, we could lose the option of voting, and they could get rid of that right between us. In so many countries all over the world don't have choice to vote, and we have a voice. This country has a voice. It might be not all of us like, but we have a voice, and we could lose that because people don't want to vote.
So what do you guys do to encourage people to get involved?
Be on them like, hey, are you voting? Are you voting? Or blast it on social media, you vote, and stuff like that. But for me, people, I think they listen, but it goes out the other ear.
I get to.
And a lot of times, that's probably why the politicians don't listen to you all, because there's no consistency. You see what I'm saying? But when you hold them accountable, the same way you're gonna hold, let's say, Mom, when you said you was gonna pay for that class today, you know, you're holding her accountable. You have to hold them accountable. Because one of the things that, that I know we talked about over the years that we've been doing this is once you hold someone accountable, then they're responsible. Because now you have a seat at the table. And I think with college students, what you all have to understand, this is you all's college, and you have a seat at the table. You have to now make that your own. You have to make that your own, and that's what you have to do.
And I think in this case, we may be preaching to the choir.
Yes.
But,
But we want them to go back and preach to their teams. You
Well,
know?
and you know, hopefully you guys are activists and that is what you do. But understand that Martin Luther King was one person. I mean, you know, people always say, well, one thing is not gonna matter. There are elections that are won by 1 or 2 votes. So it does matter. And I always tell my family, I'm with you, you know, hey, everybody better vote. I grew up that way. You didn't live in my mother's house and you would not register to vote. That's just the way that went. That's just the way that went. So you better be voting. If not, you ain't staying here.
That's right.
She made me right after, she's like, yeah, you gonna vote.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. But see, and I think sometimes too, the way you grow up, it does matter because, you know, you carry that on. You do. And if you didn't have that, then it becomes a little less important to you. So I do think that as college students, though, we want to reach the young people because we're going to be gone. And you guys are going to be left here in a world that, of course, say we messed up, which is probably true. Not myself personally, of course, but but the fact is, this is the way that it is. And like you say, we've got clean air. We got to clean up the air, which is, if we can now. Here in this area, water's becoming an issue. It is very much an issue. So with young people, tell us how to, because I'm willing to come back out here. I was telling Amy, I'll come back and talk to people whenever I can. This is so important because I think that you can persuade people to do what you need to do. And I will say, a lot of times, and this is not in defense of politicians, but the fact is, if they don't know it's a problem, they're going to assume no news is good news, and it must be okay because nobody's saying anything. So even when they know it's not true, but if they're not hearing from their constituents, they're going to figure like, well, that's all I have to do. They don't mind that I'm not doing anything. So if you guys, you know, can persuade the other young people that you know, and we'll leave our information for them to get in touch with later if that, you know, if they want to. I'm always willing to help and get people to get involved in any way that we can.
Absolutely. So with that being said, as we get ready to close, I just wanna say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for you all's participation. I know this wasn't something, you know, you didn't know what to expect. You know, we don't bite, you know, we're voters too. The whole thing is just that, you know, as we were planning, you know, even getting started, like with Speak Up and Vote, at the end of the day, like your mom, she's retired. Guess what? She has her pension. A lot of the services that you all need, she no longer needs anymore. But she's an advocate because she has a daughter that's now in school. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the things in the community, I don't need. I have a great union that fights on my behalf, but I am my own advocate. And we're advocating for others. Even though a lot of the stuff we no longer need, we're still advocating for you. And if we're advocating for you, my biggest thing is you gotta advocate for you as well. Because we can't do it all, nor will we. Nor will we, because I won't even work with, you know, like I was telling Sherry, when people come to me for different things in the community, if you're not a registered voter, I tell you to go get registered, you need to go and find who your person is, and let that office help you. Because why should I, when you got 5 people calling you, and 4 is registered voters and 1 of them isn't, but yet they want you to spend all of your time trying to help them with something, when all you have to do is go to the ballot box. And when people say that's not important, I said, you know, why do you think they're doing all this all over the country, trying to stop voter registration?
If it didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to stop it.
Absolutely, because they know that box means everything, that check, all right? So, thank you all so much. We appreciate you all taking time out of your day to come out with us this afternoon. Thank Amy, with Student Affairs, and the rest of you all. Thank you for coming out. And go and vote, okay? Vote. Thank you all so much. Have a good afternoon.
And still some pizza over here, man.